Hello, my name is Adrian and I am a self-confessed Zelda fanatic. In fact, I love this game series so much I thought it would be quite fun to rank my top 10 Zelda games of all time and see what you lovely people think of it. So enjoy the ride.
Must help me, Link!
Hey, for you, Zelda, anything!
In 10th place we have The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, first released in 1993 on the trusty Game Boy. The game is with the more traditional top-down Zelda view we've now come to know and love, and it takes you on a great adventure full of memorable dungeons, weapons and enemies. It has quite a few differences from other Zelda games though, as it does not take place in Hyrule, Princess Zelda is nowhere to be seen, and there is no sign of the Triforce anywhere. The dungeons are well constructed, with decent puzzles and actually very challenging bosses. I really do think this is an unbelievable achievement that such a deep and layered game was crammed into such a small Game Boy cartridge. This classic title was actually recently remastered for the Switch, and I really do believe they did a really good job on this remastered version. Here's a fun fact for you. The developers of the game wanted to make Link's Awakening feel like the TV series Twin Peaks. Spooky. And in 9th place we have The Legend of Zelda the Minish Cap, released on the Game Boy Advance in 2004. This game actually reminds me a little bit of Honey I Shrunk the Kids, the classic 80s movie. If Link puts on the Minish Cap, he can shrink down to the size of a bug, and he embarks on a huge, or should that be tiny, adventure chock full of fresh new ideas and gameplay mechanics. I truly do believe this is one of the best Game Boy Advance games ever made. The shrinking mechanics are really the true highlight of the game, and it allows Link to access new areas of dungeons and buildings that would normally be way out of reach. I really love this game purely because the look and feel of it is so enticing, it's got such bright colours, unbelievable characters, and again it's just a really fun adventure from start to finish. Here's a nice fact for you. The Minish Cap actually takes place between the Four Swords adventure and Skyward Sword. Thank you. And in 8th place is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, originally released on the N64. You could argue this is the most divisive game in the whole of the Zelda series. It takes place after Ocarina of Time and introduces some very innovative and original concepts, none more so than the extremely controversial 3-day cycle. And if you don't rescue the world, the whole moon will crash down to Earth. The game also allows Link to wear various masks, each unlocking special abilities and powers. I would say this game features one of the best stories ever told in a Zelda game, especially with its darker tones and reflections on mortality. I'm a huge fan of the game's overall art style. It's a huge plus point with its African inspired art and somber tones, which really helps set the morose and more mature tone never really seen before in the Zelda series. I do find the 72-hour 3-day cycle a little bit jarring though. It's tough. Those 72 hours equate to around 54 minutes in game, and actually it adds extra pressure which some gamers would love, but I found it, well, a little bit too much personally. Majora's Mask is a true masterpiece though, and deserves a lot of credit for trying out a lot of new ideas and are finally allowing us to know what it really feels like to be a Deku Shrub. Here's a fun fact for you. Majora's Mask was the inspiration behind the infamous creepypasta story Ben Drowned. In 7th place we have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, originally released on the Wii and later remastered for the Switch. This was another crowd-splitting entry, and it literally came out swinging in 2011, which had a lot of positives but sadly a few negatives. The game does take advantage of the Wii's Motion Plus controller and allows you to control Link in a way never seen before. Waving around your Wii remote, you can control your shield, sword and other weapons by waving in certain directions. It does help you feel really part of the adventure, even if sometimes you do start yearning for the old classic controller play. The game's cel-shaded impressionist art style was not everyone's cup of tea, but I personally quite like the look of it. It's quite vibrant and colourful. Some of the temples were a tad forgettable, and the motion controls weren't always as responsive as you may have hoped. A few elements of Skyward Sword, interestingly, led to many key concepts found in Breath of the Wild. These include the introduction of the stamina wheel and the chance to upgrade and damage weapons. I also think Groose deserves a bit of a mention here, as he's one of the more memorable recent Zelda characters, and it's pretty obvious he's got a lot of his inspiration from Biff from Back to the Future. Did you know Skyward Sword is officially the first Zelda game in the official timeline of the series? And in 6th place we had The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, the spiritual successor to the amazing A Link to the Past. Who would have thought that a small gameplay element found in the legendary Ocarina of Time would lend itself to a huge aspect of a whole brand new Zelda game? In one small section of Ocarina of Time, Ganondorf can be seen transporting from one painting to the next, allowing him to access various areas of a room and sneak up on you. This painting transformation was hugely enhanced in A Link Between Worlds. The 3DS masterpiece was created as a sequel and spiritual successor to A Link to the Past. The game also became a lot less linear, as you could now tackle most dungeons in any order you wished. The game takes place in both Hyrule, with the same map setting found in A Link to the Past, and Lorule, with the latter only being accessible with Link's new ability to merge and walk on walls. This game pushes the 3DS to its maximum ability and looks and sounds amazing. A Link Between Worlds also shows us some of the most ingenious puzzles found in a Zelda game. Here's a good fact: you can rent a lot of weapons from Ravio throughout the game. In his store you can clearly see the Majoras Mask hanging on the wall behind him. Sadly, this cannot be purchased. And in 5th place we had The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This SNES classic is often dubbed as being the best game of all time, or at the very least one of the best SNES titles ever made. A Link to the Past only comes 5th on my list, however I do highly still recommend it. It really helped make Zelda a truly established game in series. This pixel perfect adventure mixes amazing puzzles, memorable dungeons and exquisite gameplay. The story is also very well told and really makes you feel like the fate of Princess Zelda is in your hands. A Link to the Past also boasts the introduction of many Zelda staples we all now know and love. These include the legendary Master Sword and the use of parallel worlds. The ability to play in both the light world and dark world really adds a huge cherry on top of an ice cream scoop of pure joy and wonder. This is a game that everyone needs to play sometime in their life. Did you know that Chris Houlihan once won a competition held by Nintendo Power in 1991, and his prize was to have a special level, a special room named after him, inserted into the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. However, this secret room was only recently discovered many years after the game was originally released. Number 4 on my list is The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. Originally released on the GameCube and Wii, and has been remastered for the Wii U also. Hands up guys if you've ever wished to be turned into a wolf and live out all of your howling dreams. Well, in Twilight Princess this wish can soon become a reality in this stylishly dark and very mature Zelda game. The game takes Link on an adventure starting as a teenager, then a teen wolf, and finally a fully fledged adult. Those that are listening carefully will notice that's my second Michael J. Fox reference of the rankings so far. With the help of Midna, Link must restore the light to the Hyrule Kingdom, which has been covered in twilight and is now inhabited by spirits. Don't worry, Robert Pattinson is nowhere to be seen. You must hunt down and revive the light spirits to banish the evil. The game's main villain is Zant, an evil sorcerer. But don't worry guys, Ganondorf does make an appearance right at the end. The gameplay elements where you get to be a wolf are quite fun, but some of the jumping aspects can be a little bit cumbersome, and the wolf howling tasks I found particularly annoying. I also think the water temple in Twilight Princess is very challenging and actually becomes quite laborious. But apart from that, I have to say this game is very fun indeed. Some of the gimmicks you find in this game are also brilliant. I really enjoyed the snowboarding kind of mini level with the Yetis. There's some great fishing challenges thrown in for good measure, and a lot of mini games scattered around the map, as you often see in many Zelda titles. Twilight Princess excels in telling a deep and powerful story that will keep you hooked and rewards you with some of the best weapons found in any Zelda title. I have to say the iron boots and the double claw shots, which give you access to some really excellent areas you couldn't get to before, were particularly engaging. The game also allows you to upgrade your swords and armour, pushing the RPG elements up a few notches. Twilight Princess is again one of the more darker titles in the Zelda series and does show off some nice features and gameplay mechanics, and I really do highly recommend it. This is the first Zelda game at least, to show Link as being right-handed. This was initially done to make swinging the sword with the Wii remote appear more natural. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild comes in at third, the Wii U and Switch classic. Breath of the Wild really did literally blow fresh air into the Zelda series and ripped up the formulaic rulebook to help create a very divisive yet beautiful game. The open world setting allows you to explore most parts of the huge map practically straight away, a far stretch from many other previous Zelda titles where you'd have to complete certain dungeons in the correct order. Breath of the Wild also replaces traditional dungeons with shrines and divine beasts. Shrines are probably best described as mini dungeons where you need to complete either puzzle or battle paced missions. When completed, the shrine will reward you with a spirit orb. These orbs will help you gain additional heart pieces or extra stamina. The divine beasts are major parts of the story and are more traditional like temples. However, I have to say they do seem to lack a little bit of the charm of previous temples or dungeons in other titles. The open world aspect is where the game really shows off. You must hunt to survive, forage fruit and vegetables, and build up your weapons and armour across the amazing landscapes across the Kingdom of Hyrule. Another reason why this game is so highly praised is the multitude of little secrets and mechanics hidden across the map, different ways you can fight enemies, different secrets hidden around. And it's so much fun just playing around with your magic powers, your magnesis and so forth, and it's just so inviting and very interesting game. I will have to say that the game is not for the faint-hearted. In the early parts of your adventure, with very few heart pieces, you will die a lot. The puzzles can also be very challenging, especially in some of the shrines that you would unlock with the game's DLC. This launch title for the Switch, like I said earlier, also released on the Wii U, won numerous awards and was praised, and rightly so. This is a quest that will leave you clamouring for more long after you have defeated evil Ganon. Plus, you can finally unlock a Hylian motorbike. What more could you ever ask for in a Zelda title? Here's a fun fact: if you befriend a dog in Breath of the Wild, give a dog some meat for example, they will lead you to buried treasure. And in second place we have The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker. With animation that Walt Disney himself would be proud of, and a storyline and charm ramped up to the max, Wind Waker is a true gaming masterpiece, and quite possibly the best title on the GameCube. The cel-shaded art style certainly divided critics early on, but I would say it's actually aged better than some future 3D Zelda games in my humble opinion. The Wind Waker takes Link on a pirate-based adventure where you must travel the seas of Hyrule, visit numerous islands in your quest to rescue your sister and defeat Ganon. Wind Waker boasts a huge map and countless islands to tackle and explore. The secrets you can uncover through the various puzzles and hidden secrets makes exploration a huge part of the game's appeal. The dungeons are also well designed, offering devilishly and skillfully designed puzzles, and rewards you with some great weapons and upgrades. These dungeons are easily some of the greatest found in any Zelda game. The story is also expertly told and deserves a lot of recognition. Some of the salient aspects of the game can become a little bit laborious, but apart from that, it's practically a faultless game from start to finish. The overall setting and feel of the game is somewhat hard to explain in words, but it oozes so much love and charm. You can't help but get swept along on the crest of its wave. This is a lovely fact here. The game's initial popularity was diminished after a tech demo displaying the GameCube's graphical capabilities showed off a realistic and grim duel between Link and Ganondorf. This was miles away from the cel-shaded look of Wind Waker and confused fans early on. And in first place, the best game in the whole of the Zelda series, and probably my favourite game of all time, is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This game blew me away when it was first released on the N64. It was actually the first Zelda game to go full 3D, and I personally think it showed off the true capabilities of the N64 console in all of its glory. In this game you must take on a mammoth and unforgettable journey with Link as you travel through time and rescue Princess Zelda from the evil clutches of Ganondorf. The game starts off with Navi, the fairy, waking up from your slumber and escorts you to the great Deku Tree, who has sadly been given a vile curse. Here you learn of an evil man who must be stopped to prevent Hyrule falling into ruin and decay. With the help of a magic ocarina and guidance from memorable characters, you must find and recover the 7 sages to finally battle your greatest foe. Koji Kondo also does a masterful job on the game's iconic soundtrack. Ocarina of Time really highlights what a video game could truly be: an expansive open world environment, dungeons expertly designed, and a story that hasn't been matched in any other Zelda title in my opinion. The only slight negative of this near perfect game is the annoyance of the Great Owl, who offers great advice, but it's very easy to hear that advice on repeat basis. The fact this game has recently been inducted into the Video Game Hall of Fame is no surprise at all, and is truly deserved. You can play Ocarina of Time on any Nintendo platform from the N64 onwards, so there is little excuse not to give this work of art a playthrough right now. One of my favourite Zelda facts of all time is that after this game was released, Ocarina sales actually increased a lot after this game. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My top 10 Zelda games ranked in my particular order, my ranking. What do you reckon? Am I way off, or do you agree with my picks? Have I missed your favourite Zelda game, or got my whole list in the wrong order? All comments would be appreciated. Thank you very much. And while you're here, did you know that we have produced many more videos and podcasts for Arcade Attack? It is really worth giving us a go, checking us out. We've actually covered a few Zelda games on previous podcasts, and we're trying to make new videos all the time. So please subscribe and please check us out on all the other platforms if you're interested in checking out our podcast. We've also got a Patreon page, so if you like what we do and you want us to do a bit more, feel free to support us there. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care.
Nice job, hero.
Hey, excuse me, princess.